Welcome, everybody, to Wrestling with the Week, where we take the last 7 days and we kind of Boston Crab style crunch them into a bite-sized podcast. I'm James Willems, joined by Scorpio Sky.
James, what a week. I am sitting here. It's a beautiful day. I've got my Nespresso coffee with me.
Look at you, huh? Well, it's early.
Life is good.
You know what? I don't drink coffee at all. Never have. Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. Like opening up with a bombshell here. Like, okay, let's dig in this hole now. Okay. What's going on? What do you have against coffee, and why are you evil?
Well, when I was a boy, I remember very distinctly. It was third grade. I was cornered by some coffee in a dark hallway. And ever since then, I said, I will never consume. No, I just never got into it. I just never kind of, it's always one of those things where maybe your parents hand you a coffee or you're like at a, I don't know, what, summer camp? I don't know. I don't know how most people pick up coffee, but whatever it was, I completely missed it. And I never got hooked on it, so I never needed it. So, you know.
So what do? Do you drink tea? Are you an energy drink guy? Like, what do you do when you need that boost?
I don't. That's the thing. My body naturally produces energy like the cavemen did. And so I don't know. Like, I definitely feel it. Days that I don't eat well, I try and eat nutritiously. And days that I don't eat well, I'll definitely feel it and get a little fatigued towards the end of the day. But for the most part, I'm pretty good about keeping my energy level. I don't do energy drinks either. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, for the people that aren't X-Men and have natural energy, we like to drink coffee. I might have like sometimes 2-3 cups a day. You know, Matt Jackson of the Young Bucks is a huge coffee drinker. I always joke with him about saying like his action figure should come with like a coffee cup accessory because if you go back, like you watch a lot of the BTE, like, or just any behind the scenes things, it's always him walking and he's always got a coffee cup with him. He's maybe like 5 or 6 cups a day type guy, like maybe more. That might even be underselling it. He's really big in coffee. Him and Dana, his wife, were actually the ones that got me into Nespresso coffee, and it is so good. It's the best coffee I've ever had.
Is so it good. So as a complete coffee virgin, is it good because it tastes good, or is it good because the effects it provides you are the best effects? I genuinely don't know.
So I will be honest with you. Actually, like, I don't really feel like coffee gives me that much of a boost. Okay. I just enjoy drinking it. As far as this goes, it's really tasty. It's really good. There's something just like comforting about drinking coffee. I really don't think it keeps me awake, because sometimes the AEW filming days are really long, and I might drink 6 or 7 cups of coffee a day, and I always think like, oh, I'm not going to sleep a wink tonight. But 15 minutes after I walked into the hotel lobby, I'm in my bed like, oh, I'm just like knocked out. And so it's just nice. It's something to do, and it's a social thing. I enjoy it, man.
Yeah, I get that. It's one of those. It just never clicked for me. Also, I was like, growing up, I was kind of like, my parents were open with a lot of things with me. And so like, I remember trying beer when I was very, very young and going like, that tastes icky. Why would I drink that instead of Tang? You know? And then, then that mentality held for like the next 20 years, where it's like, why would I drink beer? I have Tang, you know?
I was the exact same way. When I was a kid, I loved root beer. And we were having a family party once, and I was just, a little kid walking around, and I look and I see a can on the coffee table, and it says beer. And I think that means root beer, because I didn't know what beer was. So I took a big old chug of it, and I was like, this is terrible. Like, I hated beer until like for so long. And even now, like, I'm not a huge beer drinker, but I'll get into it here and there. Sometimes it's got to be something light and crisp, like a Corona or something like that.
Well, it's the perfect thing. I feel like beer is the perfect thing to have, like, to sip on for me. Like, people that are like, oh, I'm going to get a 24 pack and just like get completely drunk on beer. I'm like, there's better ways. It is the kind of thing where if you have like a nice crisp beer, like you're saying, on a beautiful day or whatever, in LA specifically, you and I are both SoCal residents. And so the beauty there, unfortunately, recently, it's not a good time to have beer in LA because the weather is garbage.
It's so strange because I heard it snowed in like certain parts of Southern California recently, which like I'm amazed by that. Like I believe like Pasadena is even one of the cities, which isn't that far from where I live.
It's
And
crazy.
we got a good amount of wind a few days ago, but snow, I can't even imagine it. That's weird. Did you see any of that?
I mean, it's been raining. It's been raining a lot, and it's freezing. Like, I feel like sometime last week I was out in shorts and a t-shirt, and I mean, freezing is I'm Southern California freezing. I always have to specify that so that way someone from Massachusetts doesn't chime in and go, "Excuse me, freezing. I can't. My eyebrows froze." But like, it's basically, I walk my dog, and so when I'm walking around the neighborhood, I have to layer jackets and wear gloves, which seems insane to me for Los Angeles weather. But yeah, it's been wet and cold. These are things that I was not promised.
Well, I will say, I actually love winter fashion and fall. So any opportunity I get to wear a scarf or to wear a top coat or,
Okay.
just to layer in general, like I enjoy it. I don't necessarily like the cold, but I like the look of dressing in the cold. If that makes sense.
That
You don't get to
completely
do much out here.
That completely makes sense. I was having a discussion with someone else recently about being a scarf guy.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
scarves are great. They're awesome and just really nice. And the whole concept of like, I'm getting ready to go out, whoosh, bah, ja, and like pulling around your neck. And then for some reason it actually works. Like, it actually scarves are great.
And there's like different ways of styling them and wearing them, and they just like they're such a cool accessory, Like you can get them like, and I'm obviously all deep into it, so like you can do things like I'm gonna match my scarf to my shoes, or I'm gonna match my scarf to my pants or whatever. Like there's different things you can do, and like I said, it just looks so cool. Like a person wearing a scarf looks so put together. And then if you think about like all the old movies where like the dad comes in out of the snow and he's like taking his gloves off and he's taking his scarf off. It just looks so cool, man. Like
It does look
I wish we
cool.
got more opportunities to wear it. Like out here in SoCal, it has to like scarf weather is what, like 78. Like something like that.
I guess so. If you really want to wear a scarf, you could get away with it around 78. Yeah. You have to be able to travel, which is something obviously people haven't been doing for the last year that much. But like, I like traveling to a place. My wife, she's Canadian. And so if we ever get an opportunity to visit her family, we don't necessarily pick the winter, but if we do pick the winter, it's like I'm always kind of like, all right, here we go. What jacket am I gonna wear? Like, what scarf am I gonna bring? I get excited, but then by the end of the 5-day vacation or whatever, I'm like, I gotta get out of here. Get me back.
What part of Canada is your wife from?
Her family's from Toronto. So
okay.
Yeah,
The Six.
The Six. Yeah.
I once I did a show in Toronto a few years ago, and I was cutting a promo in the ring, and like I was like, I was all like feeling good. I was like, I'm gonna hit a Drake lyric on these people. They don't even know what they're about to get hit with. Like, and in my mind, I'm thinking like, I think I said something like, SCU just got into town, immediately started running through the 6 with my woes, or something like that. I don't know what it was. Stupid. It was a Drake line.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm thinking like when I hit that Drake line, I'll run through 6 with my woes. Everybody in the crowd is gonna be like, "Oh, he's in. He's one of us." But what happened was I actually hit the line and it was dead silent, and then I heard a few boo. Like I was like, okay. They're not Drake fans out here. Like, what's
according
happening?
to my wife, it was referred to as the T dot for a very long time until Drake came in and tried to rename it the 6. And so that you may have been met with some mild resistance on the fact that people still want to refer to it as the T dot.
I didn't know that Drake is the one that labeled it the 6. I thought that was just the name.
I think he's the one who mainstreamed the 6. I don't know if he came up with it, but I think he's the one who kind of mainstreamed the 6. I found this out very recently, but I guess there's a lot of politics over the nicknaming of the GTA, as it were, the Greater Toronto Area. But yeah, and Drake is at the heart of it all. So you gotta be careful with those Drake lyrics.
Yeah, I learned the hard way. Apparently, Drake is not popular in the Toronto wrestling scene. So I apologize to my Torontoian Fans?
Torontonians.
Torontonians. Okay,
Yeah.
there we go.
Next time you're up there, get in the ring and say you hate Timbits. That'll get a huge.
Timbits.
You'll build some heat. Yeah, I know you're gonna have to lie. Everyone loves Tim Hortons.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to lie. Right. But Timbits are the small donut-shaped donut holes that they sell at Tim Hortons, where you can get like 25 for 16 cents or something like that. Say Timbits. Get up in the ring and go, oh man, I love being in Toronto, where Timbits are garbage or something. Like say something like that, and then you will build some heat for sure.
The last time we were in Toronto, Nick Jackson of the Young Bucks had like the worst luck with customer service the whole time we were there. We went to a restaurant and he ordered a salad. I think that was all he ordered. And the salad, it had like a giant hair or something in it, or a couple of hairs. Perfect. And I'm not even sure they may not have even like given it to him for free. And then the next day we went to a Tim Hortons and he ordered a donut, and like the donut he got was like half eaten. It was like half eaten donut, and like he was just like, "What the F is going on?" Because they don't curse. So it's always, what the F is going on here?
Boy, so that's a bad luck. That's a bad luck, Toronto. You guys got to head back there sometime. Let me know. Yeah. I'll take you around town. I don't know where I'm going.
That'd be great.
So you mentioned matching your scarf to your shoes, and I was just thinking about how my scarf would look. It'd probably be filled with holes if I'm trying to match to my shoes. But I do have kind of an update on James Williams' shoe search 2021, and I wanted to kind of get your opinion on it. These shoes were actually sent to us over Twitter as a suggestion. They sent it over to us, and I want to see what you think about these shoes. These are it's a Puma Sonic the Hedgehog RSX crossover shoe. They are on sale, which is good for me. Normally priced at $95, they are on sale for $94.99. I am seeing that they are only available in kid sizes up to youth 7. So I don't know if that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, if you're a size 13. I think those are sick, though.
Aren't they?
Yeah, I think they're cool. Like, I love the spinoff of Sonic the Hedgehog. I've seen this style of shoe before anyway, and seeing that, like, I actually did see it on Twitter, but I didn't notice that it was a Sonic the Hedgehog shoe, and so now I'm seeing that, and it is so much cooler. Like, who doesn't like Sonic the Hedgehog? Like, who didn't play that as a kid? And maybe you'll even run faster in those. I don't know. I dig them. I think if you can find your size, this is a good way to go. Like, and then you got to figure out how to wear them. You definitely have to let those be the star, though.
Yeah, I would have to build a whole wardrobe around those shoes. I really I honestly think the colors, like if there was just another shoe like that just had those colors, like I would probably have been drawn to them just because they were Sonic the Hedgehog colors in general. But yeah, I don't know. I would go for something like this. We mentioned before that there was a whole Street Fighter collection that came out like a year or two ago. And I think it was also Puma. But yeah, there's a whole Street Fighter collection, so you could basically get like Chun-Li shoes. And in terms of someone being an actual sneakerhead, is that frowned upon in any way? Like or is that still considered very much a celebration?
No, whatever. Like, you find something that, first, anything that's a throwback is cool. So Street Fighter, it's part of the culture. Everybody like grew up playing Street Fighter. Like Sonic the Hedgehog, character-based stuff with like Chun-Li. Like, if you get a shoe like that, like, that's sick, and you just rock those. And if you look, example, like these Sonic the Hedgehog shoes, I've talked about this before, where when you're picking out an outfit, to me, there's always, it's almost like a wrestling card or a fight card. There's your main event piece, and then there's your supporting cast pieces. So looking at this shoe, to me, that's the main event. Like, that's the show. That's what people are gonna like go, ooh, what is that? Yeah, those shoes are sick. Those are great.
Okay. I don't know where they're available.
I think those are dunks on the I think they're dunks. Like the what's the character in the white's name?
Ryu.
Ryu. I think those are dunks. Those are cool.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you have like a sick shoe, or if it's a shirt,
Mhm.
or if it's a jacket, like that's the main event piece. Everything else is just supporting cast. So, example, you don't want to wear a crazy wild jacket and crazy wild shoes because then you're just doing way too much. You have to
Gotcha.
pick one and then everything else. So, if you're gonna wear like wild shoes, you go with like a basic outfit, maybe like dark jeans, dark shirt, and
Mhm.
let those shoes be the star.
I just found some now just while we were talking about it that they have some uh Onitsuka Tigers that have Chun-Li's color scheme. It kind of has like the yellow, the blue, and the white color scheme. And I do own a pair of those, and I love them. So maybe there's a world where I can figure out. I'm trying to merge my worlds. Like I can't just jump into the deep end.
I can see you in the Onitsuka Tigers. I used to have a pair of those as well, and they're
Hmm.
really comfortable and they are super cool and
Hmm.
really functional. Obviously, like they're light. They're good on the go. You can travel in them.
Hmm.
Like, that's a good shoe for you, actually. I can see, and there's a
Okay.
lot of different styles that are really cool. So I could see you working those most definitely.
Okay. Yeah, I might, you know what? I might. Here's the thing. I always do this thing where I'm like, yeah, maybe. And then I look it up and then it's like $500 or even worse, they're sold out everywhere. I can't buy them online or something like that. And I'm like, oh, the energy I'm going to have to devote to getting these shoes is now completely ruined momentum. But it's nice to know because that's something I was curious about because I do think that my entry point for something like this will be the nerdy entry point, the nostalgia entry point, and these things like these are built on color schemes that I know because I used to play them in video games or what have you. So
Nerdy is cool, man. Nerdy is
okay,
in.
good.
Geeking is in. I
Yeah.
remember a couple years ago, every time I'd go out to the bar, club, like my look was the button down and then like the big nerd glasses. Which,
Mm-hmm.
like, some of the pictures I look back at now, I'm like, okay, that was definitely a phase for me. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
loved like the big nerd glasses, and the funny thing is, like, my left eye isn't as good as my right, so I think I might actually need glasses. So when
Okay.
you wear fake glasses, people always ask you, like, oh, so, people kind of almost look down their nose at you. They're like, so are those real glasses
Mm-hmm.
or are they fake? And I'm always
Yeah.
just like, well, they're fake, but
Mm-hmm.
I actually need glasses. So what you gonna do about it? So
I think it's
that's
I think
always
it's
my comeback.
It's funny because if you're wearing a baseball cap, no one goes, "Oh, are you playing baseball right now?" Like no one cares, right? It doesn't matter. You
That's
could wear
such
a
a good
baseball cap
point.
inside, right? So who cares if you're wearing glasses? It's part of a style element.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes, yes. I love it.
it's nice to hear that nerds and gamers are cool now because not only that are they cool, but they're also in control of the stock market. Sky, have you heard about this? Have you seen? Arguably, this is the biggest news story of the week. It has spilled out from being this kind of thing that started small in a subreddit somewhere and has expanded out to being this now global concern. Are you familiar with what's happening with the GameStop stocks, gamers versus hedge fund managers?
Very little. Please fill me in, my friend.
Okay. I mean, it was Eric and I before the show started. We're trying to figure out if there's a way we can do this in layman's terms. I'm going to give my kind of stock market summary. I was doing some research into it, and hopefully, this is just. I'm not great with the financial world, but the way I can put it. And then I want I want you to come on, and I want you to read the other version that we found. Okay. So I'll start basically with stocks. Obviously, you have companies, they have shares, they're worth a certain price. Normally, you buy shares and you hope that those shares are worth more because then you paid $10 and now they're worth 20. Generally, the way things work. But then there's shorting a stock, which basically means that a company, a manager, or even an individual can borrow stock at a certain price with the expectation that it'll be paid back later, for less. So if a stock is going down, it's worth $10 a share. You borrow 10 shares, and then now you basically have $100 worth of stock, except that you only are charged for that stock later on. So if it's something like GameStop, which wasn't doing very well, or there were estimates that it wouldn't do well, You buy it 10 shares at $10 a share. It's worth $100, but then it drops down to $5 per share. So when it comes time to pay the piper, you're only paying $50. You essentially make $50, right? What's happening here, though, is that a bunch of these hedge fund managers illegally bought more shares than they were allowed, or borrowed more shares than they were allowed to for the GameStop stock. And then a bunch of people on a small corner of the internet saw this, rallied together, got a bunch of people involved, and started buying shares in GameStop to raise the value up. So now GameStop shares are worth, I think, hundreds now. Aren't they worth like $300 something or whatever? So that means that these hedge fund managers who are planning on basically paying it off and making some money now are going to have to owe the difference in all of those shares. So say you have 1 million shares that you borrowed at $10, thinking that you're going to pay it back at $5. Now you're going to pay it back at $300 something. It could ruin a bunch of people. Rich people, by the way. It could ruin a bunch of hedge fund managers and stuff like that who were trying to count on a company failing to make some money off of it. Now a bunch of gamers are rising up, and there's a whole bunch of stuff because the systems that they're using to buy those stocks are now telling them they can't, which is like why this is all part of the process. It's okay when other people manipulate the system if they have money and wealth, but it's not okay for regular people to do it. So there's a whole big thing, but gamers have got the financial industry by the balls. That was a long-winded way of kind of describing it. Eric, can you chime in with the other one that you found?
Yeah. So I found this online last night. Imagine in Donkey Kong 64, instead of stealing the banana horde, King K. Rool signed a legally binding contract to buy 101 bananas. He then uses this legally binding guarantee to sell the bananas he'll eventually own to get enough money to afford building K. Rool Island. However, Cranky Kong realizes what King K. Rool is about to do. So instead, he actually buys the bananas for himself at a much higher price. Dare I say, at the price of gold. King K. Rool is still legally bound to buy these 101 golden bananas, despite how high Cranky drove the price up. So, gamers, rise up and help Cranky Kong defeat King K. Rool.
In this case, Cranky Kong represents the gamers.
Okay, wait a minute.
King K. Rool, yeah.
Who is King K. Rool?
Okay, great start.
You lost me. I understood the stocks talk a lot more until we got on Donkey Kong, and then I was like, remember, I wasn't a gamer.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I also had issues. I had issues with that metaphor as well because I wasn't sure why they chose Donkey Kong 64, considering that's also kind of the plot of Donkey Kong Country, which I feel like is the more widely known game. Anyway.
My cat's breath smells like cat food.
Anyway, I think it's pretty incredible what's happening. I'm worried though, because I think it's to take something like this, a lot of people have put their money into it. There's some people who are doing it for the boom, like fight the power kind of system to it. These hedge fund managers have been taking advantage of us financially for too long, and this is showing them that they can't play by their own rules, and if they try and cheat the system, they're gonna get cheated kind of thing. Except they also control all the money, and that means that all the systems that are in place to make that be an open thing is not so open. I don't know. It's a crazy, wild thing, but I think it is just a testament to where gamers are at, like in society.
Gamers are dangerous. Yeah. And I love that. Like, I love sticking it to a man like that. Like, good for them, man. Like, yeah, good for them. I applaud this.
People, these are the same.
King K. Rool, though. I don't know.
King K. Rool. So let's find another King K. Rool. How can we find a metaphor for King? We used a metaphor to explain something else.
So now we need... if the $1 million man decided to come in and buy the World Heavyweight Championship, and then somebody else legally won it and put a bunch of money into it, then if he were to buy the championship, it would be way more expensive than the price he thought he were buying. And then how could he pay Virgil? He couldn't. And then he would have to go do more, and then Virgil would have to go do more signings. at
so these
conventions.
hedge fund guys are the $1 Million Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the system they're working is Andre the Giant
Uh-huh.
and the Hebner plastic surgery referee who screwed Hogan out of the championship, and Hogan is the gamers.
Yep.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
I get
There you
it
go.
now.
You got
yes. Yes. Everything is wrestling.
we
They
just
make
had to put
everything
it-
down to wrestling.
We just had to put it in terms you understand, and I think we really figured it out.
We figured it out for sure.
How about that storyline, by the way?
I know.
the referee, they wanted to screw Hogan so bad. They didn't just pay off a referee. What they did was they found a guy to pay him to go get plastic surgery to look like one of the current referees to screw Hogan out of the title. It was great. And Andre the Giant's finishing move was so good. Like that front face lock where he'd hook the arm and do this weird hip toss over and kind of fall on top of him, but not really. And then Hogan kicked out anyway. It's if people don't know what we're talking about, you need to go back and look that up. That's hilarious.
What
So weird.
we don't even have this in our agenda, but I'm curious. What's your favorite classic wrestling finisher?
Ooh.
I should have given you more time to think about it, but we're talking about like something like it doesn't seem like much, but like it works perfectly for someone like Andre the Giant. Like, is there a finisher that you really love?
You know what I really loved, obviously, and because I'm a huge Bret Hart fan. I grew up; he was my favorite wrestler. But the Sharpshooter, the Sharpshooter was such a cool move when you were a kid, and obviously, I know it's kind of lost its luster nowadays because so many people have done it. But if you go back to the '90s, the Sharpshooter was a really cool move, and it was something that he can do to anybody. Like he put Yokozuna in the Sharpshooter, he put Diesel in the Sharpshooter. So the tall guys, the big guys, it didn't even matter. And I remember just being 10 years old and just dying to put anyone in the Sharpshooter. And then I do it, and it really hurts. It hurts when you when you're in the Sharpshooter. And so I think that's one of my favorite moves ever. What about you? What are you thinking?
The Sharpshooter is honestly, when I asked that question, the first thing that I thought of. So because I think one of the things I loved about it is, you talk about, other finishers, let's throw it to the diamond cutter or whatever, right? Like these finishers out of nowhere, and they change the tone of the match. So there were so many times that it wasn't like in a wrestling video game where you knock them down, you walk over to their legs, you press a button, and then you put them in the Sharpshooter. Someone would be on the top turnbuckle, and they'd go for a missile drop kick, and then Bret Hart would catch their legs, and then boom, within a second and a half, they're in the Sharpshooter. You're like, what just happened? And
I completely stole that and did it to Fuego del Sol.
Oh, perfect.
on an episode of AEW Dark recently.
That's
you
that's
said
just
diamond cutter. That always reminds me of a story. I have to tell this story.
Tell the story.
It's still funny to this day. So I was years ago. I was working for Impact Wrestling, and this was my first time there, or it was actually maybe my second or third time. But this was a pay-per-view, and we had a 4-way match, and I ended up winning the match. And my finisher is the TKO, which I still use to this day. Where basically, a lot of people that don't know, I hold the guy on my shoulders like this, and his gut is basically on my shoulders, and I'm holding him, and I've got his head right here. And what I do is I spin their body, kind of throw their body up in the air and spin it, and then their head's here, and I just kind of pull them down into the canvas, almost like a diamond cutter. So I finish the match like that, and I go to the back, and Bully Ray, the guy Bubba Ray Dudley, he pokes his head out and he goes, "Hey, great finish!" And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And he goes, "That's my finishing move." And then he walks away, and I was like, "Oh crap." I pissed off one of the guys. I should probably go talk to him. And he's Bully Ray. His name's Bully Ray. You don't want to upset a guy named Bully, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to earn a job. So I wait a little bit and I go over to him. Excuse me. And I go say, "Hey, I apologize. I didn't know that was your finisher," because he was using the diamond cutter. And it's I didn't know it was your finisher. I apologize. For doing the TKO. And he says, "It's called a diamond cutter." And I was like, I literally said, I was like, "I just sorry, I didn't think it was a big deal because it's like a different move, like the Diamond
Mm-hmm.
Cutter is one thing and the TKO is
Mm-hmm.
similar, but a different
It's
move.
a variation. Yeah, it's a variation.
So
Not
I
all
explained
pile
that to
drivers
him.
are the same.
Yeah, I explained that to him, and he just goes, "It's called the Diamond Cutter." I was like, okay.
But,
and he goes, "I'm messing with you. Can I mess with you?" And I was like, "Yes, of course."
Yeah. The thing is, I feel like you would never know. Like in a locker room like that, if he said that to me, I would go like, all right, I'm just gonna go find a trash can and live in that.
Oh yeah.
And I also like that he called it the Diamond Cutter, like
Diamond
which
Cutter.
which would imply that it was taken from Diamond Dallas Page, right?
Yes. Go on.
So the origin there is you stole my finishing move, which I stole from Diamond Dallas Page, who then probably took it from someone
who took it from Johnny Ace.
Yeah. There you go.
But
so
he made it famous. You do it on TV first, brother. It's yours.
There you go.
I love. By the way, I love Bully Ray. With him and I end up becoming pretty good friends in Ring of Honor years later. So, shout out to Bully Ray. That was a funny story, though.
That's awesome. That's so good. Well, you gave
that
me some
run
time
I
to
had in
think about
Impact
mine.
was different.
Was it? How
very
why?
different. That was. It was like, I'll tell you another story. I was. It's actually from the same match. So basically it was like a tournament. So we wrestled in a 4-way match. The winner is going to wrestle Kid Cash,
Mm-hmm.
and whoever wins that match is going to go into an Ultimate X match for the X Division title. So we're going through the phases, and it's D'Lo Brown is our agent, and
Love it.
I find
Love
out
it.
that at the day of the pay-per-view, like I'm going up in the 4-way match. Like, oh, cool. And then and I'm getting, again, I have no clue what's happening. I'm new. This is like my second week working for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I find out I'm winning the 4-way match. I'm like, oh, cool. And then they call over Kid Cash, and D'Lo Brown's like, okay, so what we want to do is they're going to have this 4-way match. Scorp's going to win the 4-way match. And Cash, we want you to just run in right after and just get the jump on him. Go straight into the heat, beat him down a little bit, give him a little bit, come back, and then if it's cool, can you put Scorp over? And I look over at Kid Cash, and I'm shocked at that moment too. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm winning this.
Mm-hmm.
And I see Kid Cash go, no problem. And I was like, oh boy, it's a problem. So maybe an hour or so later, I'm at catering and I'm hanging out. And one of my buddies who was in the 4-way match, his name was Johnny Yuma. He was wrestling as Lars Only that night. He runs over to me. And he's like, Sky. And I was like, yeah, what's up? And he's all, be careful tonight. And I was like, why? What's going on? And he said, we just heard Kid Cash was just talking to us in the dressing room. And he was just explaining, he's like, you think anything you guys do out there is going to mean anything? You think that anybody's going to care about that kid I'm going to wrestle tonight? No, because I'm going to beat the shit out of him.
Oh, no.
I was like, oh, boy, here we go. And so, obviously, again, I'm trying to earn a job. So I was like, I'm just going to have to take a beating, whatever it is. But he wasn't that bad, actually. He was a true professional. He was really fun to work with. And we ended up having dinner with him later that night. It was good times. It was very, very different for like I was kind of still young at that time, still trying to break into the business, but that's what you go through.
That's pretty awesome. It's funny. I think we've talked about it before, but you hear about in the wrestling world these stories of like the old guard, like really taking it out. Like, I'm going to chop the hell out of you, like in this match or whatever like that. But it is nice to hear stories like this where it's like, but it is still a business and everyone's working together to make the business as good as it can be. And that's a pretty amazing story.
I'm going to beat the shit out of him. I was like, okay, well, yeah.
Also the fact that someone ran up to you to say,
to tell
he's in the locker rooms. Like, he's going to kill you.
He went and told on him.
Yeah.
But I'm glad. That was great
guy.
that he did, because, I was able to prepare mentally for it.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew, I just thought like, okay, well, I'm not going to fight him. I'm trying to earn a job. And so, I just thought I would just take it. But again, it really wasn't that bad. He chopped me up a little bit, but nothing that I haven't seen before. And so it ended up being a lot of fun. And again, really cool guy, and got to talk to him and learn a lot from him. And he was very complimentary of me, and it turned out pretty well. And then I didn't get hired.
Well.
I'll tell you one more story about that night.
Do it.
So we're doing the Ultimate X match, and I believe like Zima Ion was supposed to win it or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, Sanjay. So the match was me, Kenny King, Sanjay Dutt, and Zima Ion. And I think at one point, Sanjay Dutt hurt his shoulder. He like separated his shoulder during the match, and he ended up having to go to the back for them to pop it back in. So we're going on the fly basically for 5 or 6 minutes. We're just making it up as we go along. And for those that don't know what an Ultimate X match is, basically they take this rope and they put it, I don't know, 10 or 15 feet above the ring as an X. And the belt is hanging in the middle of that X. And so you have to basically climb up one of the turnbuckles, scale across that rope, like either crawl like this or like with your feet, like, and get the belt. And so at one point, again, things, we're just kind of going on the fly. And at one point, I think I did a dive on the other two guys. I start climbing the ropes. Now I'm crawling, I'm scaling across the rope, and I look over the corner of my eye, and nobody is stopping me. There it is right there. That's the Ultimate X match. But instead of there being an X, there was a title right there. So it's pretty high, actually. So I'm crawling across that rope towards the belt, inch by inch, and I'm trying to take my time without looking ridiculous, but nobody is coming to stop me. And so I'm thinking for a second, should I just go into business for myself and win this title? and then they kind of have to hire me, right?
Yeah.
But then I thought, no, I can't do that.
No.
But I, it's a matter of just seconds, but I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, no one's stopping me. And thank goodness, Kenny King, good brother, jumps up on the apron and he yells, "Spear!" And he jumps up and does a springboard and spears me out off of it before I have a chance to get the belt. I was like, oh, thank God.
Wow. That's awesome. That's so cool. Can I just point out that you telling stories about like adventures in wrestling is almost identical to Eric describing the plot of Donkey Kong 64. You're like, so I was in the back, and Cranky Kong, Cranky Kong was here, but it wasn't until I was on the apron, and then King K. Rool, he did a springboard. Like it's basically interchangeable at this point.
No, I understand when you're talking about Sanjay Dutt, Kenny King, Ultimate X, I get it. I just think you look great. Like, how did you feel about your Impact run, even though you didn't get picked up there? Because here's the thing, all roads led to where you are now. So I think that personally, your Impact run was cool little run just to get a little feature in a company and a company that now AEW is invading weekly, which is crazy. And so now think about this, all roads lead to where you are. What if you went into business for yourself, showed up, and all of a sudden, boom, world title?
That would be very interesting. The story of Mason Andrews is yet to be told. So, there's a couple of guys in Impact that are really, really good that, if I was asked to work a match against, I definitely would. Like Chris Bay and I are buddies, and we wrestled a few times, but he's miles better now. Look at me there. Look at that young,
so full of hope,
skinny kid, so full of hope and dreams. And that was before the business really just made me the grizzled, bitter vet I am today.
The podcast business, you mean, right?
Yeah. Chris Bay is a extremely talented guy there, and he's better than he's ever been before. And so I would mind wrestling him. And there's just, there's some talent over there. But I'm going to hold it down for AEW. We're better than they are. Clearly, everyone knows that. So I don't think there should be any types of. I mean, I hope they're not thinking about invading us because, they're gonna, what did Kevin Hart used to say? So get your cap pushed back, blue, or whatever he used to say, like whatever it was. Like, don't come to us. You don't want it.
I don't think so. Wow, those are pretty amazing stories. I fear for Impact should they try anything. I fear for them. I got to spend a little bit more time thinking about my favorite finisher. And so if I can just wax nostalgic real quick, I would say, since you already picked the Sharpshooter, I'm probably going to say the Perfect Plex. I loved it. It's essentially a fisherman suplex with a bridge, but for whatever reason I was always into it. And again, going back to the video game thing, it was a kind of move that was animated really well in a video game. I don't know what that even means, but like there was a lot of finishers that just would look okay, and if you played as Mr. Perfect and you did his finisher, it just looked super cool, and it also always leads to a pin. I always loved the Perfect Plex, so
that was a really cool move. That's a good pick, because the way Mr. Perfect did it was so like just clean, and he almost did it in slow motion. You know, like it was just like this like very smooth way he went into it, and his bridge was great. You know, Penelope Ford does a really good version of the Perfect Plex in AEW. Yeah. She has like an amazing bridge. Like it's weird. Like she can get like that with her bridge.
On the toes.
So when she'll do deep on the toes, and like a huge like this arch to her back. Like she has this crazy, like she looks like a upside down U or something when she does it. And so she has a great version of that move.
It's a great move. I love it. Let us know. Shoot us some messages what your favorite old school finishers are, and we'll tell you you're wrong or you're right. We'll tell you whether or not there's a old guard wrestler backstage who has some thoughts. But yeah, make sure to send us a message or send us an Instagram at WTW Pod on Instagram, and let us know what you think about your favorite finisher. We don't have a ton of time left. I feel like there's some other things we wanted to touch on, though. Yeah,
I got one I want to touch on.
Touch.
You know, going back to finishers, I'll tell you one finisher that was really cool, which is the Steiner recliner.
Yeah.
And speaking of Scott Steiner, we see the goatee growing
coming in.
Eric.
Dude, that when you said Steiner recliner, I genuinely popped and didn't put the pieces together from last week, and I'm like, "Oh, cool, Scott Steiner!" And then, damn,
we see it growing in. Are we going to get a little big Papa Pump?
Listen, I'm trying. I'll do it for you guys, but like, really, like, look at how pencil thin. Like, I don't know that it could look worse.
But I think it's coming. I think it's coming.
I think it could look worse, and it will look worse when you bleach it.
It's so good. It's so
no
good.
offense to Scott Steiner. I'm sure he will take offense to it, but no offense to Scott Steiner. It looks his facial hair looks disgusting.
No, it looks so cool.
Well, the real question is
when
you get that going, are you going to get the chain headpiece too?
You have to.
Like the thing that you have to get with that, I have to get some like 90s wraparound glasses, and I got to get the chainmail, and then also I want to walk a tiger to the ring one time.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. And then also I'm going to start screaming, "He's not getting up from this one," and then just start Steiner screw driving. You know, I know that's Brian Cage's move now.
Yeah.
He does the drill claw. He's got the big, the suplex into the pile driver, but I think I'll just say it. I think I could take him. I know that they got a match against Sting and Darby Allin. It's him and Stroke Daddy Ricky Starks. But
what move is not Brian Cage's move?
Yeah, right,
That's
dude.
true.
Hey, he's Mr. Get My Shit In, no doubt.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. He does every move. Every single move.
We're gonna book a fantasy match that will play out in our heads, which is Eric versus Brian Cage fight for the finisher. Whoever wins gets to keep the Steiner driver.
I love it.
I could take. Look at this. Look, listen.
Oh my gosh! Look at that! Look at those
peaks. You guys
peaks.
ever seen this before?
Look at those peaks. Big Storms.
Where are the freaks to go with those?
I only
peaks?
care about two things: my peaks and my freaks. I got freaks 9 days a week. That's all I'm saying. Brian Cage, look out! Please don't hurt me. I'm sorry for this. It's just a podcast.
I love it. And James, speaking of freaks and peaks and all that good stuff. Have you been on social media lately? Have you been seeing all of these Busset Challenge?
No. The shorter answer is no. I had to ask Eric what a Busset Challenge is before it started, and then I Googled it, and I think I figured it out, but please, for anyone who doesn't know, like me, can you explain it?
Let me explain briefly. TikTok, Instagram. For those that don't know, go on TikTok and Instagram, search up #Busset Challenge, and I'll tell you what it is. Basically, it's a song, Busset, yada yada. I'm not going to try to sing it. And people are basically starting out in like they're kind of bumming it clothes. They might be in bathrobes and no makeup, or just kind of whatever. And they start like that, and it's like my butt getting big, and when that part kicks in, they drop down, and it flips, and now they're like in full glam. If you're a guy or whatever, you might be in a suit or something, and then they're dressed up really nice, and they're kind of just booty popping. So those videos are really big right now. And so my question is, James, have you, I guess, you did answer the first question. My question was going to be, have you been watching the Bust It Challenge, and what's it going to take to get you to do one yourself?
To do one myself? Well, I'd do anything for this show. But I feel like we have to at least issue some sort of challenge. Is there a way we could like put a poll up or something? We could ask people, or set, if we get a certain number of likes on an Instagram post or something like that, we can get. I will do a Bust It challenge. I will accept the challenge, but not for free.
Okay, let's put a poll up on WWTW POD on the Wrestling with the Week podcast Instagram account. Maybe we put it in the Instagram story, and people can vote yes or no. Should you do a Bust It challenge? And then if we get the majority saying yes, then we maybe we can get it going, and by the next episode of Wrestling with the Week,
I will deliver if the people want it. I will deliver my own Bust It challenge, and we will show it off on social media, and then maybe we can also premiere it next week on the show.
Yes.
Does that sound good?
Listeners, all of you millions upon millions of loyal Wrestling with the Week podcast listeners, I need you to go to this Instagram account. I need you just look at our great friend James, and just picture him doing a Bust It challenge. It's going to be so good. Please get on there and vote yes.
I'm going to show you my whole Bust It. That's the thing. You're going to get a whole Bust It out of this. That goes for you too, Bill Gates. We know you're listening. Well, I mean, that's a huge tease for next week. I hope we don't lose. What if we look at the numbers and they're lower next week because people are like, I skipped that one. Sorry, guys. No Bust It for me. But no, I will Bust It challenge if the people so want it. And until then, though, I think we've gotten through the week. We burned through another week here on Wrestling with the Week. And I had a blast. I really like listening to your wrestling stories. I wish I had some wrestling stories. I might just make some up. Like, oh yeah, I was back there, and Arn pulled me aside, and he said, you're great. And anyway,
I got a million of them. We got to get Frankie Kazarian on here at one point, because he has so many stories, so many great stories, and he's like one of the best storytellers I've ever met in my entire life, in or out of the ring. Like, he's just got stories that are hilarious. So at some point we got to get him on here, and just to let him just go and tell us a few. I mean, just the good old, like, whatever you want, Jim. Like, a lot of people will hear me say that a lot. If we can get him on here to tell the whatever you want, Jim, like that story, that's one of the best ever. So, all right, another week down.
Another week down. We got a lot of stuff to look forward to as this show continues. We're going to have more stories. We're going to have more news. We're going to have more fun anecdotes. I'm probably going to buy some shoes. We didn't even get to touch on the NBA or what video games I'm playing or any of those things. So you're going to have to come back next week and find out all about that stuff. Thank you, everybody, for watching and for listening and for sharing this podcast. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Click, share. Thank you for everyone who's tweeting us and telling us that you like it. I don't think I've gotten anything when anyone say they hate it. Have you gotten any hate?
People love you. Like, you're loved.
Me?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I see so many tweets. They're like, oh, my God, Wrestling of the Week is so good. James Willems, it's so awesome. Is Scorpio's guy.
No, that's only because I'm willing to bust it.
Yes. Well, thank you for doing it, my friend.
No, of course. And thank you all for watching, listening. Sky, every single week. This is the highlight. Thank you so much. And we'll be back next time with more Wrestling with the Week.